Hey, we good here? Good. I'm getting back to work.
Any emergency situation. If a police officer is requested or emergency, in a situation like this,
I don't know. I
you
don't,
don't
cause
know.
bro, the second somebody says somebody's trying to kill me, do I really want to bring an ambulance here to possibly make this a more dangerous situation? In the sense,
Explain that to me.
By bringing
I'm saying
people who know how to save lives is going to become a more dangerous situation.
somebody's trying to kill somebody. Let's just say you pull up on this scene and it's an active shooter situation, and you just don't know what's going on. You don't know if somebody's trying to shoot out somebody else's car, like they're just pulled up and started shooting or whatever. How can we call an ambulance to a dangerous situation?
That's literally what you're supposed to do.
You're supposed to call an ambulance to a situation where people are hurt. You're supposed to call the cops to a dangerous situation. There's a
When
difference.
when you call for backup, you call for police and ambulance and medical
No, you
He didn't
don't.
call
services.
for
No, you
back.
Yes,
He
don't.
you
didn't call for
do.
medical. Wait, hold
No, you
on.
don't.
He didn't
You're
call for.
supposed to, is
Hold
what
on.
I'm saying. You're
Hold on,
No,
guys.
you
supposed
don't. No, you're not. No, you're not supposed to.
Hold
If
on,
it's a
guys.
pure
so
dangerous situation, you're not supposed to call
Let's
the ambulance.
let's talk about what
so
happened
with
though. Hold on.
that's
Let's talk about what
crazy.
happened.
You
The cop.
so this cop's just supposed to be there and save everybody.
No, I say
No,
he's
hold
supposed to
on,
call
LA.
for backup in dangerous
He
situations.
the
That's
cop
that's
called for
backwards
backup.
and
As soon
insane.
as he saw it was a crash, he called for backup. He said, "I need backup." He was trying to get him to sit down and say, "Hey, I need backup. I think this guy is on something. I think
He
he's
said, I believe
intoxicated."
it's a DUI situation,
Yes, that's exactly what he said.
which involves medical people because he was driving under the influence. You don't know
So
if he's
did
sane or
he? Is
not.
that not calling for medical, LA?
That's okay. So let's say he called for medical,
That
which is the right thing to
it
do.
takes 10
Do you
minutes to get
believe
there.
that, Rob? Or do you have a different view?
I think it takes 10 minutes to get there. They probably just haven't arrived yet.
Okay, perfect. So now they haven't arrived yet. Now my next question after that one is was that medical people should be a part of these situations. They cops should not be first respond to, let's say, crashes or
Are you talking about
emergency
in general? It
situations.
sounds like you're talking about in general, not this
Yeah,
situation.
I think you're talking about in general as well.
Let's say this. I'm using this as a catalyst, but yes, let's speak in generality.
Okay.
Should emergency services (EMTs) be first responders to situations like
I,
crashes and things of
I,
those sorts?
I don't got a problem with either one being, because both are trained in the kind of that field. So yes, I don't have a problem with either cops or ambulances. But I do understand what you're saying because they're there to save a life and or see stop the injuries in a sense. I understand what you're saying. It just doesn't apply to this case.
Yeah, that's where I'm getting
So
confused. Because what would the
so
medical personnel do to help this situation?
So now let's say we all agree we believe that medical personnel should interchangeably be sent, right? We
Yeah.
agree in a perfect world they'd be sent first. Now
And together, yes.
let's say we're in a perfect world and they're sent together now. What would have changed? What do you believe could have changed
Literally
or
nothing.
not?
The cop probably would have told the medical staff, "Get the fuck back. I'm trying to get this guy to sit down on the ground." Because
Yeah, I
what
don't.
is the paramedics going to do about this guy being this erratic, running
So
around,
look,
continue to get
wait,
up?
wait, wait, real quick. You're saying I just want to get this in full context. Let's say if the cops and the ambulance showed up on the scene at the exact same time, that's what you're essentially saying.
Sure, let's say
From
that.
there on, you're saying what would have changed?
Let's say
I
that.
will say nothing
We would say
because
that.
that guy was clearly not all the way there at that moment. That I think he was going to run away from any group of people who was going that looked like they were going to come at him, rather the help or not help. He looked like he was running away from people.
Okay.
Did
I have another
did you
question.
see the look in his eyes when the other cop showed up on the scene?
I have
Yeah.
another
That's
question.
what
I also believe that he like you stated there, and he said he thought someone was going to kill him. So I personally believe if a medical person was on the scene and witnessed these events, they would have noticed that he was in a state of psychosis and that he was probably on some type of drug and would have been trained in a situation as such to de-escalate it without even having to touch him. Granted,
Nah,
we're
LA, I'm
we're
not giving you
talking
that.
about a perfect world still. So
I think you're
that's
talking. I think you're talking about these trained medical people, like they're psychologists as well. They're
they could
trained.
be.
They're trained the escalators in situations.
They
And
could
I
be.
don't.
Why not?
I personally don't know who's trained for that.
LA.
I don't know if medical people, first responders, are trained to deal with that.
Here's the thing about that, LA. I think the cop did a really good job of trying to de-escalate the situation before he had to use a force.
And I'm
He
not
told him
saying the
multiple
cop did not.
times, "Hey, sit over
If
there.
you look
Sit
at my
cross-legged."
notes, I'm team cop. If you look at my notes, I'm team cop. I'm just trying to paint a picture here. So let's say just to go further, let's say that in the scenario I'm painting, there's an EMT or two and there's a cop, and they get to the situation, right? The cop would have gone to the the crash scene with the EMTs, and they would have all been like, "Yo, what's going on?" Right? Just like how we saw. They would have pointed like, "Yo, that dude needs help. You know, he's the one who whatever happened." So now let's say there's an EMT and a cop. We're saying that the situation would have unfolded the same. Both would have went to dude, and dude would have been unresponsive, or he would have been combative.
It's just very unpredictable when people are on something that you don't know what they're on. That's all.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part about it all. You don't know how people. The same way the article said, we don't know how many times someone should be tased because we don't know how their heart or how their body will take it. That's the same thing with drugs. We don't know what he was on and how it took in his body. We don't
You're right.
know. It's a tough situation.
LA,
I just
question.
don't know.
You're right.
I
But
know
wouldn't a
you're-
trained medical professional be able to ascertain the situation of what he is on better?
So here's the thing, LA. If he's fighting the paramedics too, what's the difference in the situation? That's what I'm trying to figure out. That's what I don't
I
understand.
think I
paramedics
think
being there
that
makes
they
a
say
difference.
that you can attract more flies with honey. Now, if you see a guy in a paramedic suit, you know, he looks like a doctor. He's like, "Hey, are you good? I just want to check you out. Want to make sure you're not hurt." Like, I feel like dude would have been like, "I'm cool," and then he'll be like, "All right, cool. Here's some water." Dude was asking for water for 10 minutes.
No, stop.
Oh.
Stop. Don't do that. He asked for water one time. The cop said he'll get it to him later, and
He
was still
did.
acting. He didn't have water on him. LA.
You're absolutely right. But you know who probably would have water on them in an emergency situation? A medical professional. I'm just saying it would help. That's all I'm trying to say.
So you think
I see
water
what
would
you're
have got him
saying.
to sat cross-legged because he kept getting up when the cop.
I
told him
see
to
what
sit
you're
down.
saying, but
think
this
so, because dude
situation,
was rolling ball.
Like,
he didn't know.
I think the hard thing about this situation is that we don't know any way of this ending better. Like, yes, maybe he would be alive. This man still would be going to jail.
He
And
would.
that's not a question. That is a fact. Because
That's
if
a
he
DUI.
hit somebody while he's on drugs, even if they hit him while he's on drugs, that's a DUI.
I mean, he could fight it. He could probably get community service. He could probably do probation, but he's
If he
losing his
has a good
job.
lawyer,
He's
If you go
losing
into
his
that,
job. Exactly.
if they could probably go into that $90 million and get him a good lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah. But my point in this topic is I think that medical emergency response, I think we should look into it. You know how cops have partners and stuff? Maybe there should just be an EMT like inside the car too.
At
Or
in every police car.
I mean, we got 2 cops in every police car. Why not
Yeah, but
have
it's
an
two
EMT?
Yeah.